Thanks for being here this morning. Another sort of a gloomy morning in Michigan, and well, that's sort of a foreshadowing of a lot of our forecasts. We don't see too many changes. I think that's one of the bottom lines here. We've had a very, very active storm track through much of the upper Midwest, actually even more than the upper Midwest, just all of the central U.S. here, including Michigan. And we, as we've all seen here, especially this last few days, you can't get much done when you've got rain almost on a daily basis. And some of that we've thrown in here frozen precipitation as well. We had snow yesterday in the northern part of the state again, and we had some significant snow even last weekend, far later than we typically see. As we look ahead, I mentioned pretty much more of the same. That's the theme you're going to see here. There are going to be some minor windows of opportunity, and the first one of those opportunities is going to be coming this weekend. I'm a little bit more optimistic about that, but the long term, especially the medium range, is looking like more of the same type of weather pattern that we've been stuck in. Manny covered, I think, really well some of where we are right now, and just a couple follow-up comments on that. The graphic here on the left is the percent of normal precipitation for essentially the months of March and April. And I guess one of the realizations here is that Michigan's not alone in being wetter than normal. You can see large portions. One interesting exception to this is central Iowa, but much of the rest of the region, including the vast majority of Michigan, has been well above normal in terms of precip here. In some cases, more than 200%, especially in northern parts of the state of Michigan, and that's also true as you go west from here out into the northern plains. The other one I wanted to show here. This is a simulated soil moisture value ranking, and spring, obviously, late April, early May is typically one of the highest times of highest soil moisture seasonally in the year. And yet this year, as you can see from the rankings here, many areas we are above 90 or in the 90th percentile. So it's one of the 10 wettest times of the year that we've seen. This is looking at the top 3 feet essentially of the soil profile across the region, but not only Michigan, but much of the Midwest, with a couple of minor exceptions. So again, we're hearing about this from all over. Well, to our south, to our west. It's a very, very common problem across the Corn Belt this year, with just too much moisture, not enough time to get much done. Soil temperatures, Manny also covered this. It's I think this is a little bit more recent. This is as of the 30th, which would have been Tuesday. These are 4-inch bare soil temperatures, average soil temperatures, and the problem is that they've actually cooled down since the middle of April. We had a not too bad a start, but because of the recent cooler weather, especially northern parts of the state, we have seen a cooling, and so our 4-inch average temperatures here ranging from still the low 40s in northern parts of the state to the upper 40s across the south, and it's cooler than it typically is this time of year. It can be, certainly, and that has also added to our complications here with trying to get much work done. Well, let's look ahead at where we're at, and this weather pattern that we're in. If I don't have a jet stream map here, but if I did, what we have, and we've had much of the late winter and early spring, our jet stream flow is from southwest to northeast, right across the center of the country, and there's a couple things that happen with that. One is that we get these little waves. One of those is approaching here as we speak right now for later today. And a frontal boundary draped across the region acts as a focusing mechanism. The other important part of this pattern here is that the Gulf of Mexico, which is our primary source of water vapor and moisture for precipitation, is wide open for business, and there's just no shortage of moisture with this. We saw that yesterday across the state. And this morning here, and this is, I counted them, this is the 4th disturbance or 4th low pressure system in 5 days. If you go back to Saturday, we had one Saturday night, which led to some of the snowfall in southwestern parts of the state, one on Monday, one yesterday, and now this next one. This will be, at least for most of Michigan, this will be the last for a few days, but as we go on in the forecast, unfortunately, this pattern probably is going to return by the middle of next week once again, and we'll see another visit. This frontal boundary is going to drift to the south over the weekend, which will give us a little bit of a break, but it likely will return by the middle of the next week. So right now, this is our next weather system of note, and by tomorrow morning, you can see that the low pressure system, just like many of those that preceded it, will move probably up as close as the southern lower Michigan and then into Ontario by tomorrow morning. So look for today, probably the precipitation moving into the southwest part of the state by this afternoon. Best chances for most areas, mainly the southern half of lower Michigan. That's where we're going to see the highest pressure for rainfall this evening. And then into the early AM hours, a few lingering showers are likely tomorrow morning. How much precip? Well, one good bit of news is that this particular system, because of the speed it's traveling, will have less precip than what we saw yesterday. And some spots, especially down along I-94 yesterday, picked up as much as 2 inches of rainfall, which again is very, very poorly timed right now. But for most areas here, we are looking at a quarter to half an inch across the southern lower, especially as you move down towards the southern couple tiers of counties. That's where we'll see the heaviest rainfall with the system, and it'll be less as you go north. Some areas in northern Michigan, northern lower Michigan, and the UP will probably remain dry. Just sort of a gray, cool day. They're on the northern side of this low, so temperatures remaining there only in the 40s to low 50s, so a fairly gray, cool, unseasonable day there. And then finally, by Saturday morning, you can see high pressure here over most of the region. Another weather system sort of reloading down here. And I think the bottom line with this one is we could see over the weekend, we could see right along the southern border of the state a threat of maybe some light rain, but with any luck, I think most of this is going to miss us to our south. This system will move through the Ohio Valley. They've been even wetter than we have here in recent weeks. And another weather system, this is the next one of note that approaches from the northern plains here. This will be an issue mainly for northern parts of the state late in the weekend, but in contrast to what we've seen recently, only scattered and light rainfall amounts are expected with this, and I think that's good news. The other part of the temperature-wise, we will see certainly for Saturday and Sunday, we will see a recovery in temperatures at least back to seasonal levels. We're not going to see anything really warm weather, but it's going to be relative to where we've been recently. It will be a bit warmer than that has been the case, but overall the means will still lag a couple degrees below where they should be. Now, looking at this pattern, I mentioned the return of it next week. Right now, the best guess is if we skirt through the next several days without precip, I'm guessing probably by Wednesday of next week or Thursday, we will see another major weather system and then be stuck in a pattern similar to where we've been for the last several days, where we'll have one of these waves of low pressure riding up along that front every 24 to 36 hours or so. So that's likely, I think, for the middle to latter part of next week into next weekend. So if there's any opportunities here, they will be up this upcoming weekend and possibly at the beginning of next week. And what's going to be in the rain gauge here, if we look at the next entire week, you can see there's a definite north to south gradient here. These are projected rainfall totals. Heaviest totals across southern parts of the state where we might see in excess of 1.5 inches. And if you can think about this, when is this rain going to fall? Well, I mentioned for the south, probably a quarter to half of that's going to fall later today, tonight, into early tomorrow morning. And then with dry conditions expected, or mostly dry conditions expected over the next few days, most of this comes by the middle of next week, next Wednesday and Thursday. So a lot of these totals, I think, reflect that or reflect what's expected next week. Better news for the northern part of the state, significantly less, in some cases less than 1/4 inch of rain is all that right now is expected up there. But it's still an active pattern, and between now and then the forecast could change. But I think the important thing is that this very, very active type of jet stream pattern that's leading to this is not going to go away anytime soon. That's also the message that we see in the medium range forecast guidance. This is that jet stream pattern I just talked about, forecast here for the second week of May, the 7th through the 11th. And you get a 3-for-1 deal here today because the 6 to 10 day, the 8 to 14 day, and now the new revised outlook for the whole month of May. All of these things are almost, they're very, very similar to one another, but with this upper air pattern, they call for cooler than normal temperatures, especially to the west of Michigan and the Great Lakes region, but including most of the state here, warmer than normal to our south and east. And I think the real news, and it's not positive news, is that we're likely to see above normal precipitation totals with this. That goes without saying with this kind of pattern. And again, all 6 to 10, 8 to 14 day, and now the new May outlook are all very, very similar to this same theme. So this pattern that we're in is going to be around for at least another couple of weeks before something different. And that's essentially the summary here. We do have, though, I guess on the positive side, we do have some, I think, better weather and some opportunities, at least some drier weather coming tomorrow. It's going to take a while, as Manny said. We don't want to force things, but given the outlook and given the pattern that we are seeing, we're going to have to use those opportunities very, very wisely. The other comment, again, given some of Manny's information here, we noted that our optimal planting window for much of Michigan is through the middle of May, and the outlook is really pushing us to that level. So it's probably time to at least start to think about some of, if we had to switch, it's likely that some parts of the state are going to be stuck in that, and it's inevitable in many, many seasons. We do see this, at least in parts of the state, where we're forced to make some decisions because of delays. But it's likely that these delays will continue at least for the near and the medium range. And that's my outlook. I wish it were a little bit more helpful here today, but I think that's where we are right now. So, Eric, I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.